This will be an unboxing and review video of a Seiko 5 SKX Sports automatic watch. This is known as model number SRPD59, or in the Japanese domestic market known as SBSA009. And I actually found this on Amazon, but it was Amazon Japan website. So supposedly this one is made in Japan. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. So let's see what's inside the box. We have another box. So this is Seiko 5. And there's some booklets in here. Take a look at this. Anything else in there? Looks like well, I'm not sure what that is. I guess it's a warranty card. Service card, not filled out. It is in Japanese. Let's see, this guarantee is valid only in Japan. So maybe I don't have a warranty with this one. Seiko booklet, mechanical watch, M8 instructions. Is there any English? Yes, there is English. Okay, let's see what's inside this box. Little piece of foam protection and the watch. So this is the orange colorway. You can see it has an orange dial with gold accents on the hand and the bezel. Take it out. Got a pillow case and plastic protective coating. We've got some hang tags here, all in Japanese. There we see SBSA009, made in Japan. And I believe there should be a made in Japan printing on the dial. Yes, right there, made in Japan, with the movement number. Sorry, I can't get that to focus. Now this is a day-date complication, automatic movement with hand winding and hacking. And this is a Seiko movement 4R36, which I believe is Seiko's branded version of the NH35. Let me get this plastic off of here. Okay, let's take a look at the case back. You can see that Seiko's using an exhibition case back to show off that beautiful Seiko 4R36 movement. Now this movement is the branded equivalent of an NH35, which is a very popular movement in most watches these days. You can see the case back has some printing on it, the Seiko logo, water resistant 10 bar, stainless steel. And I believe on this side it says made in Japan, right there, along with the movement number for R36. Now this movement beats at 6 ticks per second, or 21,600 beats per hour, which is pretty common for most Asian movements. So it's a little slower rate than most Swiss movements, which usually operate at 28,800 beats per hour, or 8 ticks per second. This movement does feature automatic winding along with hand winding and second hacking. Okay, let's take a look at this dial. So we've got an orange dial with a slight sunburst effect. We've got gold tone hands along with gold tone numbers on the bezel. Now there's no pip or luminance on this bezel, so I believe it's just the hour markers and the hands that have the LumiBrite. You can see between the 6 and 7 o'clock hour markers that it does say made in Japan. So I think that's exclusive to this particular model. We have a day-date complication. So this crown is unsigned and it is a push-pull, it is not a screw-down crown. So that gets a lot of complaints as well because there's only 100 meter water resistance with this watch. But for me, this is actually a little bit more convenient because I don't have to worry about unthreading or unscrewing a crown in order to wind the watch. So I can wind the watch simply just like this. And always remember when setting the day or date that the hour hand is not between 10 or 2 o'clock. Otherwise you could damage the movement. So what I like to do is just make sure before setting the day or date that I just move the hour hand to about the 6 o'clock position. And then from there, I'll go ahead and change the day and the date as necessary. And then we're going to pull the crown to the first position, which is going to be your day-date complication. So if I go clockwise, we're going to move the day. And this does have the Japanese lettering. And go counterclockwise, that will adjust the date. And we pull to the second position, which is our time setting position. And you can see that this does have hacking. So that's kind of new for Seiko as well. A lot of the older movements did not hack the second hand or have manual winding. So with this movement, you can manually wind the watch, or you can wear it or shake it to have the automatic rotor move and wind the watch. And this also has second hand hacking. So let's take a look at the chapter ring alignment and bezel alignment. So I know there have been some complaints with the quality control on these Seiko 5s where the chapter ring does not line up perfectly or the bezel does not line up perfectly. But this one actually looks pretty good, so I don't really have any complaints with this one. Let's go ahead and check the bezel action. It is 120 clicks. Pretty smooth. A little bit springy. It is unidirectional, and it has a little bit of back play, but not much. That's pretty typical with most watches. But it does seem to align pretty well. So let's talk about dimensions of this watch. We have a diameter of 42.5 millimeters. And if you include the crown, we're looking at about 45 millimeters. Lug to lug, we have 46 millimeters and a thickness of 13.4 millimeters. And the bracelet width is 22 millimeters. This also has drilled lugs, so that makes it a little easier to replace your bracelet or straps by accessing the spring bar. So Seiko uses their own crystal version called Hardlex. So it is not sapphire, but I believe it is more scratch resistant than a standard mineral crystal. So I'm not sure if that's used on both the dial and the case back, but this also does have an exhibition case back with a crystal. Okay, let's take a look at the bracelet. So this looks like it's all brushed. These are hollow end links. The links are secured with a simple cotter pin. Now these individual links might be pressed because you can see a little line on every single one on the edge. So they probably are not solid links. We have a Seiko branded clasp. So this acts as a safety clasp. We have a push to release pin style clasp, a pressed inner clasp or hinge assembly. And it looks like we have 4 holes for micro adjustment. And there is no diver's extension on this bracelet. So one major selling point with Seiko divers is the loom. So Seiko has a proprietary loom called LumaBrite. So let's go ahead and charge this up and take a look. And you can see that the hour and minute hands are loomed along with the sweeping second hand. And all the hour markers are also loomed except for the 3 o'clock position. And there's no loom on the bezel whatsoever. And here's a wrist shot on my 6.5 inch wrist. Now I haven't sized the bracelet yet. Now let's put the watch on the time grapher and see how it does right out of the box. We've got a rate of about -9 seconds per day, an amplitude of around 280, beat error 1.3 milliseconds. Boy, I'm not happy with that. I was expecting something a little better out of Seiko, especially this being a Japanese version. So it looks like I'm going to have to do some adjustment. Now here's the watch next to my 6309 7040. I picked this 6309 up on eBay about 7 years ago, and I realize it does have some aftermarket parts like the bezel insert and the dial, but otherwise it's a pretty nice watch. Now the 6309 does not feature a secondhand hacking, and it's automatic only, so it does not manual wind like the newer version. Well, what do I think of this watch? I really love the colorway. I love the orange color. I like the gold hands. So I kind of narrowed it down between this watch and an Orient Mako, I believe. They also have an orange dial Orient that I may also pick up in the future. But I like this bezel style a little bit better. The Orient bezel style is a little more dressier, I'd say. What don't I like about this watch? Well, I can live with the push-pull crown. That's not really a concern for me. The alignment of the bezel chapter ring seems pretty good. I have no complaints there. I'd say the biggest complaint that I would have or disappointment would be the beat error on the movement. So it does look like I'm going to have to open this one up and maybe try to do some regulation of the movement. I like the exhibition case back, so I think that's something that Seiko also has an advantage over the Orients. Now the Orients do have 200 meter water resistance, but realistically, unless you're going to be diving 100 meters, 200 meters, probably not a big deal. So as stated earlier, I picked this up on Amazon Japan website for $212 US. Had it shipped to the US, it took about 7 to 10 days, so pretty quick shipping. I paid a few extra dollars to get this particular version because it's made in Japan. And I'm glad that I did because I like the fact that it says made in Japan on the dial. I am a little disappointed in the regulation of the movement. I expected it to be a little bit higher, but I think that's something I can probably do on my own. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down below.